making no sense with Tom Sena.
All right. Hey, everybody. How's it going? It's just me and you. Just me and you again. We're going a little solo. We're doing this as a very solo, very special episode. Well, we'll see. We'll see if it's special or not. I had this kind of epiphany the other night as I was laying in bed. It's totally like the middle of the night. I woke up like literally like 2:30 in the morning. And I did 3 podcasts in my head as I laid there. I'm not kidding you. 3 whole freaking podcast. I mean, I was up the majority of the night, the rest of the night. So this is one of those deals where I'm going to violate kind of this unwritten bro code. That's why I think, that's what you're going to want to stick around for. I think that's where the rubber's going to hit the road. So we're going to talk about sex, baby. We talk about you and me. So yeah. So here we go. It's of course it's about sex. Isn't so much of the human condition about that? And that's kind of it. I mean, I've danced around this before, like everyone does when they talk about people, relationships, and blah, and this and that. It's and they always kind of and sex is a part of this. It's a healthy part. It's just it's a lot more than that. And I'm not just talking about the act. I'm talking about sexuality. Let's Dr. Root this thing. All right. So anyway, I'm talking about gender. It's everything. Let's just hit every hot button there is, baby. So, all right, the 30,000 foot view of this is men and women. I wanted to talk about what's going on. So, ebb and flow, a lot of different shit going on that's making men and women's relationships very strained, and it's going to go into who knows where it's going to end up. But when I talk to women, I hear a lot of this in regards to their view of relationships and their view of men. Now, to their credit, thank God, for men's sake, women are so, and again, I'm generalizing it, but are just so willing to kind of go back to the let's just give him another shot. Let's give these guys another, in many cases, undeservedly so, if you're looking at it big picture wise. They're still out there. They're still willing to give it a shot. They still believe in love. They still believe, want to take a crack at, let guys take a crack at them, or whatever. But thank God for them. But not all of them are. Some of them are getting to that point where it's just fuck guys. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that, and I'm like, I get it. Yep, I do. Men are kind of gross. Now, for those people that are, raising boys and stuff, it's that's not a, and even you don't necessarily, I'm not sitting there telling my girls, men are horrible, stay away from men. It's just no. But I think it's important, and I think there's something very useful and learn, and it helps you learn to get that out and look at it, put it on the table and look at it in front of you, pick it up, look at it and be men are shitty. Let's talk about men being shitty. Let's talk about that. Let's not keep pretending like it's not true. Let's quit pretending like that's not a thing. Let's talk about why. Let's talk. Well, what is it? Why are you saying this? What is your thing with them? Why? It's just We know all the reasons. You've talked about them all individually. You've never just kind of put it together into one big ball and been like, okay. I mean, I guess, and of course, I'm not talking about that. That's it. You just leave it there, and that's just the answer. And I'm sorry, and that's the way it is. I mean, no, but I mean, I think it's important to just quit pretending or quit defending yourself. That's because that's always this first knee jerk reaction. It's just like defensiveness, and it's just like, put that shit down. All right. Put that shit down, you dick. All right. You're a dick. Right? You've been a dick. You can be a dick. Right? Because I think if you could let yourself know that and admit that, that is like, just like every other thing, that's step one, have awareness of that. Because if you pretend like you don't, and you can't, or that you haven't been, or whatever, if you're that guy, that's an immediate, red flag. All right. You're just out there waving your red fucking flag, being like, I've never been, it's just like, come on, dude, you're just waving a red flag. You haven't been a dick? You've never been a dick before? You've never said something, or you've never thought about women in a certain way. No. I mean, that's the only way to really move forward and to try and not be that, is to be like, okay, yeah, I've been that. I could be that. I've done that. The same thing goes for race. Your racism. When guys are like, people are, I don't have a racist bone in my body. Being like, okay, you racist fuck. Because it's like, that's all you need to know. Is just like, if you have zero awareness of that about yourself, like you've never had an impulse, like your first knee-jerk reaction to something, or you've seen somebody, or you've done something, or you see a news story and you think, and then, I mean, if you can't take a look at your own innate racism, either learned or whatever, and born with innate, who knows? I mean, it's in there. It's about learning about that. It's about admitting that. It's about looking at that. Again, take it out, put it on the table, pick it up, look at all sides of it, and just be like, what the fuck is with this racist shit? Why is this something that I thought? Why did I think that? Man, well, take a look at that and then trace that back. Maybe you could figure out why you thought about that. I know why a lot of this stuff happened to me or whatever. But you're never going to get to that, any kind of a resolution or an evolution on that, if you don't fucking admit it, take it out, look at it clearly. Quit being just defensive all the time about everything. That's a part of why women are like, fuck that. I'm never going to get to square one with that dick. Anyway, so that's, I'm coming down. I'm still coming down. I'm coming down. I'm getting closer to it. So what else is going on? I mean, when I was talking about like violating bro code, I mean, now we're going to get into like, we're talking gender preferences, all that kind of stuff. The same thing. It's the same thing. Are you willing to take that out and look at it? Guys, that's like the bro code. That's like it is, trust me, it is unwritten. No one writes this shit down. Nobody's going to talk about it. No one's going to whisper about it, but it is understood. It is just something that, you don't fucking talk about that. If you do, you're gay, and I'm talking about straight guys now. straight guys. All right. And yes, are we all the same? Nope. Is there a spectrum? Yep. Absolutely. How could there not be? That would be another one of those things. If you can't admit that there's a spectrum out there for everybody and everything and every gender and every preference, you may as well be, you're waving a big old red flag. You may as well be wearing it just like, whatever it is, I'm afraid that I'm gay. That's what that flag is, I think. Ultimately, there's some latent shit there that you're not looking at, that you're so horrified, And no, maybe you're not gay. Maybe you're not gay. Maybe there's just every part of this. And by talking about this, I understand. I get it. I'm revealing some shit of myself because I'm admitting that I'm able to do this and I'm looking at this. But here's why. For all of those same reasons that I just talked about with taking out your racism, and taking a look at that, taking out your being a dick about women or whatever, and looking at that. The same thing goes for preference, gender, all of that stuff. And they're, well, why? I'm completely happy. I'm married. I dig women. I love women. I've never once thought about sucking dick, whatever, I think you're kind of waving your flag. I think you're waving your flag a little bit. Am I talking about you wanting to, take a D? Yeah. I was going to say no, not necessarily. Yes, I am talking about you wanting to take a D. And because I'm saying, look at it. Don't be so fucking afraid to look at it. Because when you hide shit, when you keep shit just fucking crushed down, shit comes out sideways. And I'm sorry, you're on a spectrum. You may be like, if you've sold yourself, that you're like, you are just the most heterosexual straight man in the world and that you would never consider. It's just like, well, that's usually pretty telling in itself. But even you are on a spectrum somewhere in that zone. You are somewhere, which means, by definition, you're not slapped up against the sides. You just aren't. You think you are, but you're not. And if you're afraid to look at that, maybe that should start to tell you something. What are you so afraid of? If you're slapped up against that side of heterosexual, if you're just smashed against the side, I am the most heterosexual man that there is in the world, then what in the world would you be afraid of looking at it? What would you be afraid of looking at? That, you not wanting to talk about it, you thinking that's ridiculous, is itself an indication that there's something there. Because if you are, you shouldn't have any problem talking about it. And that's the thing. That's kind of what I've come to. It's just like, why? What never gets talked about is like guys, is like straight guys being on a spectrum. We've and women have been pretty comfortable with that too. In regards to men, more so than women. Women, there's been way more of an acceptance of kind of a spectrum there of like straight women being like, you know what, I'm just about ready to just become gay. I just want a girlfriend or what. And women that have been, much more willing to be open about like some exploration that they did, in those college years and all this stuff that. A big part of why it's more acceptable is because guys love to hear about that stuff. Guys love to hear about that stuff. And there too, what I kind of came to realize is like, well, why do guys why do guys love to hear about that? Why are guys so into that? And I know, and here I am just like going to just completely piss off guys by saying this. But I mean, there is something to that has to do not with just because you're so into seeing women together. We're talking about some shit here. Yeah. But guys, there's something to that. No, it's not just that. It's about seeing it's about seeing the same sex together, that there is a little something they can kind of, that's their little outlet to explore and take a look at that and be like, ooh, that's kind of so taboo. And that's like, to see two women together without looking at it on the men's side, without looking at it, because it's like, I don't want to look at two hairy asses bumping up against each other. That's always kind of the go-to, it's like, oh, the football. Hey, how you doing? How's the Bears doing? There's that thought of, we're dudes. We're not going to, no, I'm telling you, it's just our inability, men's unevolved. We are so unevolved in regards to this stuff. This is kind of like the last bastion that we are just holding on to with a death grip of being like, fuck that. I am straight. I will never consider taking a D. I will never consider, I'm not attracted to a man. I would never be. That is, Sena, you're fucking gay. I mean, I could hear that. I could hear it fucking all over the place right now. I can hear it. And I get it. I do. I actually I understand it, because that is what is ingrained in us from day one as, healthy, young, straight men. There's that, and then there's gay. It's just that. It's that there's no in between. Does that, like, if pretend we're talking about something else, anything else, you name it, does that really make sense? Can that possibly be true? That it's just a switch, that there's just a line that is just I know I am gay. I am straight. There's no. Can that be? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is now I am on the ground and I am looking right at people. And I'm talking face to face. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about, no, that cannot be real. There is a spectrum. And this isn't just self-revelation. This is the admission of, like, there lies in, I think, a big problem with dudes because I feel like this shit comes out sideways. It comes out backwards in every which way but good. And I think it's even worse. You see it the farther it goes to one side, to what guys are professing and believing and want so desperately to believe. I feel like it comes out in such worse ways. It comes out as anti-woman. It comes out as anti-gay for sure, anti-LGBT, anti-trans. This trans thing, the guys that I see, and here's part of it. This is all from experience. This is all things that I have seen in real life, in real time, that I am trying to illuminate right now. And including things that I have felt and seen and evolved with myself. But I've seen it with guys. There's particular guys that I know that are just like so anti-trans. And it's just like, and I also know that it's just like, oh, just because I'm against it, that means I'm secretly gay or trans or what. It's just like, it's not that simple. It's not that simple. But it's like, what's the Shakespeare quote? Methinks thou'st protest too much or whatever. It's that there is that for sure. But there is also something that I've seen. I have seen qualities in some of these guys that it's just like, that are so anti-trans and whatever. And that's a big part of what kind of brought me to this table, that brought this stuff out for me and my table, is that, like everything else in life, it's like when it is presented to you in a personal way, when you could put a face to a name, when you can see it in a human, in an actual person, as opposed to just these theoretical. I don't know any trans people, but I don't need to. I don't need to know. I don't need to know any about a. I know all I need to know. They want to act like a woman. They just want to pretend like they're not a guy. They're born with a dick, and it's just like, all of a sudden everything I hear on that, it just starts sounding like that voice that it just starts sounding like that. I swear to God, because it's just like, that's how I hear it. It's just like, you just turn into that guy. It's like, shut the fuck up. Because I've met and worked with a lot of trans people. I'm a hairstylist. Okay. Obviously I am exposed to that world, to a broader spectrum of existence, of living, of sexuality, of gender, of, preference, of all that stuff. And I love that about my world. I do. I feel like it's just been so enlightening for, little Tommy straight boy that grew up and, was highly kind of sexualized early on in my life, in regards to women and, and it's like, and that kind of informed me early on and informed some really shitty things in me and stuff like that. But I think, as it turns out, I think super typical, not an anomaly. I think I was very, very typical young American straight boy kind of, I think so much shit went on growing up. Like with everyone else, there was exploration, there was, all that stuff coming up with, this young kids and boys and stuff like that. And with these hormones raging and they don't know what the fuck to do with it. And there's a lot of stuff that goes on in amongst themselves, in amongst each other. And of course, sadly, when those things are not dealt with in a correct or in any kind of a healthy way, if they just kind of keep festering and become unhealthy in these young men or whatever, then ultimately they get taken out on women, because that is where that is their go-to. And it's just like, well, I don't know what the fuck to do with all this shit, but I know what I can do and I know what I'm going to do. And so, unfortunately, and that's when that, you've got, in extreme cases of, of abuse and, and all that kind of stuff going on, to just less extreme and much more typical examples of shitty behavior. So that's that. If, guys are just, so that's where we're at right now in society. It's just like, well, women are much more, but still not totally, everybody's not willing. I mean, there's a spectrum there too. Huge. I mean, women are a lot more, I think, willing to look at their spectrum, but there's still the side of that spectrum in women that are not willing to look at that and just being like, that's ridiculous. But I think fewer than men. It has been the Fort Knox of a vault. And that's the bro code. That's the secret bro code that you never even heard about, that you never even knew existed, that men don't even talk about with each other. And I'm violating that right now by saying, oh no, trust me, there's a fucking spectrum there. You have considered it. You have thought about it in your darkest, most secretive moments. You've thought about everything, all of the stuff, not just being gay, not, all of the different things, because, there's so much going on inside dudes, sexually that they just repress, and because of the vault, because of the code, you are not even permitted to look at it. Don't even consider this shit. But you can't help it. You do. And when you do, and you've got that fighting against you of just like, it all gets festered. It turns icky and ugly. And that's why I'm saying, let it go. Dudes, let it go. Look at it. Take it out. Put it on the table right in front of you. Take a look at it. It's okay. It's not going to, looking at it is not going to make you gay. Looking at it is not going to make you a transsexual. Looking at it will open you up, will help release a lot of shit. It takes the pressure off. Like, the more open I am about it, admitting, and I've always admitted in the past, it's just like, well, I'm like 80% gay because I just love the sensibility of my gay friends and whatever. And it's always been like, it's just like the only thing that the difference is just, is that I'm not taking a D. Well, that's mostly true as far as like not, as far as being open towards gay people. But I mean, but there's also kind of even there's also like a little bit of a lockdown on you. Just like, oh, well, I won't take a D though. I mean, it's just like, take it out, look at it. At this point in my life, I have considered all things, I've also been, a lot of this stuff really gets into we can really get into the woods or the weeds about, marriage, the whole institution of marriage and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, I have not given up on that, but I think if you can be open to everything and talk about that and know, I think that's the only way to really like now for myself, because I am so open to looking at it and just being like, I get it. I get gay guys. I get how it used to just be like disgusting. It's like, it's not at all. There's nothing disgusting about it. I completely and utterly understand it. Could I do that? You want me to be that revelation? I don't feel like I even need to get that personal, but just like, well, why? It's just like, of course, why couldn't I? I could do any of that stuff. But being able to admit that and look at it and just instead of just vilifying it and making it disgusting or whatever, has what has ultimately led me to the conclusion. And I don't even think it needs to be a hard, fast, this is a absolute, but it's also but it has led me to being like completely okay with the fact that I was like, well, yeah, I could consider all of that stuff. But you know what I feel like I feel like, I have a very physical, visceral, emotional connection to women that I don't seem to have with men. I mean, sexually even. Am I willing? Am I saying there was only this and there was nothing like that? Nope. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that either. Do I understand being bisexual? I mean, I think it's kind of a silly word. I think it's a word that just, I guess it only means about what you've put into actual physical practice. Because I think everyone is on a spectrum. So in essence, everyone is bisexual, but you're just not calling it bisexual because you've never actually put it into practice, or maybe you have, but you just didn't want to talk about it. There is plenty of that. I think there is way, here's also bro code violation. Beep, beep, beep. There is way more than that goes on than you hear about. You hear about it more so with women. Women are a little bit more open to admitting, oh yeah, I took a girl home once after a bar. It's just like, it's like, well, good. I mean, I hope it's fun. I hope that was hot. I mean, it's good. It sounds hot. Yeah, that does still definitely work on me. That's just like, yeah, that's great. Good for you. But do you ever hear guys do that? Well, I took a guy home from a bar, sucked a dick. You'd never hear that. If it happens, and I do think that's the thing. I think that happens way more than and here's the even more violation. Here's a bigger violation, because I've talked to a lot of gay guys about a lot of stuff. And just from my own experience also, just knowing what's possible and what goes on and whatever, and how shit works. And also talking to a lot of women actually have illuminated me, has illuminated a lot of this stuff also. Stuff that they ultimately discover. And I mean, there's a lot of that goes on even in married guys. Yes. I mean, of course there is. Of like, shit going on behind closed doors, shit going on, behind locked phones, shit going on at the Republican National Committee in Chicago when the fucking Grindr gay hookup site crashed in Chicago when the RNC was there. I mean, that tells you a little bit about that repression. And I know that that's just going to offend people so bad that I brought that up. I just think that's hilarious, to be honest. I mean, and so telling, and God love them. Hope they got their D, but, because God, maybe they needed it. Fuck, go get a D, catch a D, go out and just, fucking do your deal. Or, let go. I mean, the unfortunate part about that is just like, they'll do that and it'll just be in the most horrible, disgusting way. And then they'll, and then you got to go and you lie about it to yourself and to your wife and to that's the bad part. That's the shitty thing, that's what sucks. Is that, unfortunately that's what happens a lot. I'm just saying, if you could just let go of some of that shit, and I don't mean go blow people and whatever, but I'm just saying, be more honest about it with yourself. Take a look, take it out, look at it, look around it, look at all sides of it, consider everything, think about it openly. Don't be so fucking afraid to to think about it and to even talk about it. Maybe you don't want to talk about it with your wife. Maybe you do. Maybe, you have to be on the same page, obviously. Otherwise, you're going to fucking freak her out. She's just going to be like, what is going on? My husband is gay. If she's not there, but I mean, I think it's healthy for everyone to do that. I think if you could do that, what is it going to do? It's going to make people healthier in their relationships and their decisions. At least know what you're dealing with yourself. It's better to know what you're dealing with yourself. To know that, it's just like, well, yeah, I mean, I've made considerations. I may, in another life, maybe I would have tried this or done that, or maybe, if you're in this situation, if you're single and you want to go out and like try on some shit or whatever, if you're that curious about something or whatever, who knows? Maybe you can hook up with some other guy that's curious or what, if you're not hurting anyone, that's the key. And same thing with women, I mean, if you're consenting adults and you're not hurting anyone, have some exploration, have some fun or whatever. But if that's where you are, if you're that far if you're that far over onto the spectrum or whatever, and still, guess what? That doesn't necessarily mean that you're anything. I mean, these labels are what is a big part of the problem. It's just like, well, you don't cross this line. It's like, what line? It's a spectrum. It's just leave it at that. Know your preferences, and then you can make decisions based on that, on real live. Okay. After you've made some considerations, now you really know what you're dealing with. So you make your decisions. It's just like, well, and that's what has worked for. That's what has, I think, led me to this, to being like, you know what? I get it. I get all sides. I do. And I don't have a problem with any of it. Not even a little bit of a tinge of a problem anymore. Cause that's what it helps me do. It helps me be more empathetic. And I think the people that really have a problem with that far, far, far right side, is a lack of empathy, lack of imagination is how that happens. That's why you get people that are not necessarily in real creative fields. That is going to be typical of that. Not always, but I mean, much more, analytical fields, but those people aren't willing to consider and look at things either. So unfortunately, that informs a whole lack of empathy. Helps, it's what fuels racism. Being against women, even if you're a guy, you're against women. It makes you anti-LGBTQ, anti-trans. I mean, just all that shit. I can't stand it. I mean, so what I was going to say about trans people, specifically, I know plenty of trans people. When I see, and sometimes I've even seen guys start that process. I've seen them in all different, in all different stages of of what they're going through, of their own self-realization and coming out and all of that stuff. And with gay people and straight people and gay people and trans people, it's just like, but when I see trans people, I think at one point in my life, I'm sure I was probably had that knee-jerk, visceral, like, repulsion. I'm sure I did at some point in my life. I used to feel that way when I was little, and I remember I used to feeling that way like about gay people, just like, and I came around on that much earlier. But with trans people, that was kind of like that was always but I mean, I've come so full circle on that, where I've like, when I see these trans people and I have people that I've worked with and know in my life and personal life or whatever, you know what I want to do? I just want to hug them. I want to hug them and just be like, God, I mean, because I just feel like they're just so out there, vulnerable. And it does. There's something that just makes my heart just open up and want to I just want to like, just be like, you are awesome. I think you're great. I love your shitty eyeshadow that you don't know how to do yet, but you will, and it's fine. And it's what, and it's like all of that. I was like, I love you. You're great. You'll be, I want you to be okay. I want to be able to say, you're going to be okay. But I also been like, you know what? Be careful, because there's so many assholes out there that are so fucking girded up about this shit because they're so unwilling to look at their own shit. But that is what I feel like when I see trans people. I'm just like, oh, I can't love them enough. I'm just like, oh my God. Good for you. I mean, yes, I think they're brave, and I just want to love on them and just be like, you, good luck to you. And man, if there's anything I can do for you, I will help you out. I will let me fucking do your hair. I'll do your hair, and I will make you look beautiful. And you are beautiful. I mean, I don't know. That's what I can't feel that enough. I'm just telling you, I do. I just feel that for them. I saw this trans person sitting at a restaurant. So again, I know some of them personally. I have plenty trans people that I know personally, and I just love them. Riot. They're a riot. They're a fucking riot. I also know cross-dressing people, drag queens. I also know drag queens and stuff. Fucking riot. Whatever. So whatever. Ridiculous. Right. But I mean, just at bottom, I mean, kind of core thing about it, they're just a riot. Anyway, so, and I've even I used to go to like when I was younger in the hair business, I used to go to drag shows and see that stuff and whatever. And it's kind of, and there was kind of that whole world. I don't like to do that anymore. I have no desire, to go to a drag show, but it's not because I have a problem with drag queens. No, 100%. No, I'll go to lunch with you, drag queen. I'll go hang out with you, but I just don't, the shows and just it's just, going out, and, that has much more to do with just the scene of just being like, not like that. But, that's a whole nother thing. Has nothing to do with my feeling towards drag queens. But anyway, I saw this trans person sitting by themselves at a restaurant. It's kind of it was a restaurant that I had not been to. I had only been to it. I guess this was the very first time that I actually ate in the restaurant. And I was going to sit down, and I had my kids with me too. I had the two girls with me, my little girls, and we passed by. As I passed by, I kind of could just see. I just kind of picked up on the vibe. They were sitting by themselves, and as I passed by, I could see they had very short hair, like they had like a guy's cut, I think, underneath this very fancy hat, like a big, huge, wide brimmed hat, but like old fashioned-y, like she was like kind of decked out in like lace, this black lace dress, like a full length, like it was very fancy. And this was not a fancy restaurant at all, but it was a sit down restaurant. But I mean, it was not by any stretch of the imagination, not a fancy restaurant, kind of a family restaurant. And they're sitting down, and so I passed by the kids and sat down, and I just kind of I kind of just noticed that out of the corner of my eye. And so we went, sat down, and I sat down the other side of the booth so I could kind of stare back, because I was very curious just to be like, just to kind of see what, and I was trying to be mindful of just being like, of absolutely not calling attention, because they were sitting there by themselves, minding their own business, having a drink. I think they were going to eat maybe. But I just was kind of keeping an eye out. And you know what? I think my biggest reason was I kind of wanted to see how other people, I was kind of just keeping an eye on, like, I hope nobody fucks with this person. I'm just like, my God, if somebody fucks with this person, I'm going to cause a scene, because I'm going to be the first one out of this fucking booth, and I'm going to be over there, not minding my own business. And I am going to be into it. And who knows if I get kicked out of here or what's going to happen. But I knew I was just like standing guard. I was just like, nobody fucking better say a word to this person. Nobody better. I was just being like that. And I was with my girls, and, we didn't, obviously it didn't come up at all. We just, we just blew right past them when we walked in. And so I didn't feel the need to chat about it with them, but I would have had no problem talking to my girls about it. It's just like, because they're going to see it. It's going to come up in their life. Anyway, so that was just, again, it's just for whatever reason, I just feel like I just was a bit like, just leave them the fuck alone. Leave everyone the fuck alone. If you have a bad feeling about people, about any particular group of people, that's your sign to leave them the fuck alone, because you're the problem. That's the deal. Okay. That means you haven't dealt with some shit. You have a problem. The problem is you. Bottom line. So leave people alone. Take a look at your own sexuality. Don't be so fucking afraid, fellas. Yeah, I know. You've turned this off fucking an hour ago. I get it. Take a look at it. Don't be so fucking afraid of looking at your own sexuality. Yeah. You, Frank, Hank, whatever manly dudes I'm talking to. I'm looking right at you guys. Whoever, I'm just making up names. FYI, I'm not talking about any specific. I'm just like throwing out like real male macho names. You guys especially, take a look at that shit. Don't be so fucking afraid. Look at it. If it will open you up. Hopefully help with your empathy, because that is the thing. Please just open up, everybody. But I'm talking to my guys especially, because that has just been, like I said, the Fort Knox of just like, no, that is a vault. I will never touch that. If I look at that, that means I'm gay. If I look at that, that means well, there's your problem. I've got no reason to look at mine. It's just like all that shit. It's like, shut up. Yeah. Look at it. Don't be so afraid. We're all in this together. We just want you to be like fucking more normal, and don't fucking ruin it for everybody else. You are ruining it for everyone else, especially us, me. You're ruining it for all of us. Not especially me. You're ruining. There's a long list of people that you're ruining it for before you get to me, but you're ruining it. You're ruining it. Women, they don't want any fucking part of that shit. Some do. Some are like, no, I don't want a guy that has ever questioned it. It's just like, well, guess what, sister? Guess what, sweet cheeks? I think you do. I think you do want someone that's looked at that. I think you want someone that's been completely, has looked at that head to toe, and that's a person, that's an evolved person that now they know they know what their decisions are based on. They can make healthy decisions. You now know who you're dealing with instead of dealing with this, this persona that they have created. So anyway, yeah, just fucking let go of some shit. Let go. Yeah, that's it. There you go. How about that? I got through it, and I think we're okay. We're all alive. Maybe not. We'll see if there's a big fallout or not. But I've been listening to your podcasts, and you did that one that was kind of like, it seemed a little gay, or I don't know what were you so like, what were you trying to say? Or there's like, yeah, dude, I heard the podcast. I heard you fucking, you're gay. I heard you came out on podcast. Someone told me you came out on a. No, that didn't happen. Whatever. I'm kind of getting to that point. It's kind of like that old man or old woman that just like backs out of the driveway in their 40-foot long Buick out of the driveway, and they're not even looking. They're just like, fuck it. I'm backing out. Because they're at that point in their life. They're just like, I can't care. I'm done. I'm not going to fucking crack my neck and turn around and look and see who's. I just stay out. I have this huge car. You can see me. Please fucking stay out of the way. I'm getting to that point where it's just like, I just don't care. I'm just going to fucking put some shit out there, and you get to listen to it on my podcast. So who knows what all is going to come out? I mean, I'm just telling you shit. I'm just fucking quit caring about stupid shit and just, let go of that shit. That's all. All right. If you have hung in here to this point in my podcast, we're best friends. I think we're best friends. That's what that means. I think I so appreciate you. And, so that's it. I'm going to wrap it up. I will see you again. I've got some, I hope to God, if it pans out, I've got some exciting podcasts coming up where I'm going to actually interview maybe an actress. We'll see. All right. Hang out. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoy it. Hope you get something out of it. All right. Peace out.
Making no sense with Tom